Good morning, anyone who's watching us today. The topic today is USA as a career destination for the global student. We covered UK in my last talk a couple of weeks back. Uh, Today, I'm here to talk about US, and there are five major areas of expertise that I will be covering. These are five major subjects that are preferred by students in the USA today, and at the same time have really good job prospects for an immigrant student in the US. Very surprisingly, the list that I have decided to curate today, does not have business or core engineering per se. What I've realized and what we have realized in our experience the past few years in the US is skilled workers in the Department of Medicine, Computer Science, Data Science, Finance, and Psychology have taken precedence over other very traditional courses like business or core engineering. So that's what I'll be discussing today. We'll be discussing careers and professions in these areas, in these subject areas, as well as we'll talk about what are some of the best courses or some of the best curriculums or some of the best universities that offer courses that can lead into these careers. I'll start off with medicine because medicine happens to be one of, I would say, something that at least Indian students don't prefer doing in the US because the cost of doing it in the US is relatively higher than doing it in India or doing it in some Eastern European countries or Northeastern European countries as they speak, where MBBS is of course rather cheap. But that's not the lens that you can look at the US medicine program. You look at the US medicine program from the lens of return on investment and how quickly would you be able to procure a residentship in a reputed hospital. And that is obviously very easy to procure when you're going to a US medical school. Some really good professions that you can get into even if you're not doing an MBBS or a doctor's degree is nursing, is becoming a veterinarian, and also becoming a physician assistant, right? So objectively speaking, that's what we are looking at. That's the kind of careers that you would be looking to pursue if you decide to take on a medicine program. It doesn't necessarily have to be just MBBS. Physician assistants, nurses, and veterinarians and other professions make as much money as the medicine program, the MBBS program. Of course, the best part about pursuing some of these programs is that it comes cheaper than the normal MBBS program, and you would work in the same setting. You would be doing the same kind of work. You would obviously, in some cases, work even better jobs, which are very niche, and they have the demand for it locally. Some of really good medical schools happen to be, of course, the Ivy League medical schools are obviously there, but one really good state for pursuing medicine is Ohio. Now the reason why I say that is because number one, the cost of living expense in Ohio is rather less than the bigger cities or the bigger areas like New York, Washington, Chicago, California. So obviously Ohio happens to be a state where cost of living is very less and is very it's not just the cost of living. The medicine program in the Ohio State University is one of my favorites. Number one, because the cost is lesser, and number two, the program and the professors there are really amazing. While it is not ranked too highly, if you would see statistics that are available online obviously as well, is that the highest number of medicine students in the US, international medicine students in the US, happen to be doing their medicine program in Ohio State University. So that's really interesting how the shift is away from just reputation of the university. The next program is the computer science program. Now, this obviously makes the list because today Indians who are going abroad, Indians who are going to the US, are majorly going for engineering degrees or for STEM programs, as we call it: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now the engineering part there, more than 50% of students who go for an engineering program in the US today are either looking for a computer science program or for an IT program. Now it's very obvious and it's apparent, obviously, that the shift from core mechanical degrees to computer science is very obvious because there's more demand for it. There's more demand in the job market for it. And any student who actually today goes as an immigrant student abroad to make their career, to look for jobs, is looking for getting a job that would help them pay off their student loans, will help them support themselves in that country, and at the end of the day will help them get a work visa to stay back and to, at the end of the day, immigrate to that particular country. I will cover things around the H-1B visa, the OPT, etc. towards the end, just as a supplement to whatever we were discussing today. Now, the best part about the CS degree is it is relatively cheaper. It is a 2 years degree generally. There are additional semesters that you can take as an internship. That's completely on you. You can also do minors or majors on the side while pursuing the computer science degree. So, so the application is separate. Obviously, you'd apply to that particular school where you want to pursue a degree. A lot of students, what they do is when they want to do a computer science program, they have some knack towards doing a hardware program as well in computer. So they apply to the electrical engineering program, or they apply, or they take up some modules of the electronics engineering program to receive a minors against their degree. That really helps show employers, or really helps show gain knowledge about the subject area, and will help them get a job in that particular discipline later on, even though their main specialization is computer science. If you want to do a hardware specialization on the side of a computer science specialization, it will really help you work and get into robotics. So a really famous or really sought after specialization for CS in hardware is robotics, which kind of brings together computer science, electronics, and mechanical engineering. I know students, Leverage Edu students, who have gone to universities like Johns Hopkins, have gone to universities like Arizona State, Oregon State, who after passing out are working with NASA, have come back to India and are working with ISRO, and they have had taken these robotic specializations while pursuing the degree. Moving on, I will also talk about some employers who are working, who employ computer science engineers today. Of course, there's the usual Google, Amazon, now Meta, these employers. However, in the US, what you would find is there are a lot of consulting companies who want to hire computer science engineers. The best part about being a computer science engineer in the US is that there would never be any dearth of demand for you. What we are looking for also is for you to move to a state that would really appreciate your talent. Now, if I am a computer science engineer, I passed off Arizona State University, right? That's like the perfect belt for me to be at. That's the right belt of companies and the right place to be at. So while you're deciding to pursue computer science in the US, it is not enough to just go do it in the US. You have to also decide which part of the country do you want to be at. It's a very big country. Where do you want to apply for jobs? Because obviously a university that is nearby the companies that want to hire you, would be easier to get a job or get an internship. A very important thing to also do during a computer science engineering program is to learn additional programming languages. I say this every time I talk about the CS degree in the US, is because the degree is less valuable than any skills that you would learn while doing the degree. Of course, not knowing any programming language really well will not help you. So obviously learn some programming languages like really amazingly well and become a professional at it. while also learning additional programming languages to give you perspective around syntax, perspective around logics on other programming languages. The logic might be common for most of them, but adding that additional bit of flavor to your resume while applying for other programs or while applying for other jobs would really help you. It also helps you participate in additional research programs, in additional research with other professors who require a student or a research assistant with knowledge of a particular programming language. So it does open up additional avenues for you, but never go for 10 programming languages and not know any of them really well. You need to really become apt or a professional at one programming language and then increase your, I would say, cart of programming languages. The next one that I'm going to move on to is the data science program. Now, the best part about pursuing a data science program in the US is it happens to be one of the highest paying jobs and one of the lowest cost of programs in the United States. Now you would say, why is that? Data science is an emerging degree. Yes, it has been emerging for at least half a decade now. It's relatively a newer concept for universities in India still, but it has made its mark in developed countries like the US, UK, and Canada, even Australia. So you pursuing a data science program would mean that there are already demand for jobs there. They are waiting for qualified candidates to come and take those jobs up. Now, as a data science engineer, you can work across the industry. You're not tethered to one industry at all. You can work for a startup, you can work for in Silicon Valley in an emerging startup or in an established startup in Silicon Valley. You can also work for the big four. You can also work for a management consulting company like McKinsey, EY, BCG, etc. Now, there is a lot of debate around the people pursuing data science around the value of the R programming language. What I have seen personally is students who actually go and do a data science program generally require a lot of crunching data, a lot of coding to get through the entire program. While coding is on a lighter side in the data science program, it is still required, and one of the most used programming languages in data science is Python. So my tip would be, if you're an undergraduate student in India who is pursuing a computer science, definitely learn Python. If you're a student who is not pursuing an engineering degree or is pursuing a core engineering degree like mechanical engineering, my suggestion would be to take a couple of months to learn basics of Python, because you would require that while taking a course in any college in the US. It's not like they don't have support to teach you the program, because they expect people coming to the masters in data science program to have entry-level understanding of programming, but it will definitely give you an edge over others while understanding concepts in the class or taking down notes, etc. R programming, I would not suggest you just take a headway on R programming while you are here. You have to understand if the course offers R programming training. Does it require you to understand R programming training? And if it does, make sure that you know that you have the basic know-how of the program, of the coding program. It's very interesting. It's very fun to use the R programming language, and once you get to it, and once you learn it, you would not be able to kind of stop using it. The next part is the most interesting part, and is most probably the most expected subject area to be added on the list, and that's finance. Now, we all have seen Hollywood movies, we all have seen Wall Street and things around, and the excitement around that. The way you get into those roles, become an investment banker, become a stockbroker, and all those jazzy job profiles are through learning or through studying finance. Now, it is not a requirement for you to have a formal degree to become a stockbroker. However, to become a reputed and good stockbroker, you need to have the basic understanding of finances and how the stock market works. There are a lot of shorter degrees as well that you can do to become to understand stock markets. You don't really have to do a completely full-fledged master's in finance or a master's in business and finance. However, If you want to become someone working in the venture capital industry, or you want to become an investment banker, then in most cases, a lot of reputed investment banks require you to be a pass out from a big business school or a very reputed business school in the US. Interestingly, the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School of Business happens to be the best business school in the US for finance programs. Now, a lot of investment bankers come out of the MBA program of the Wharton School. Now, that's a completely gut call for you. If you are someone who is 5 to 7 years into his job and has worked in the finance sector, for you to get into an MBA program that focuses on finance would be easier than for you to get into a master's in finance program that is expecting entry-level students to come in and learn finance. You would not get as much out of a master's in finance program as you would in an MBA program at that point in time. However, it becomes difficult for you to understand which university would provide you the finance expertise that you're looking for. So while you're searching for an MBA program to pursue a finance degree after your MBA, make sure that you look at the curriculum, you look at what are their extracurricular activity focus areas, who are their professors, and where their alumni are working or have worked. That would really help you get perspective around, okay, what in school? I understand I am not a finance professional. I might be better off with maybe a Thunderbird School of Management, which is easier on the fee, has high return on investment for my particular specialization that I'm looking for. Obviously, a lot of business schools in the US require you to have a GMAT score or a GRE score, but 95% of business schools or universities in the US do not require you to have a GMAT or a GRE score. And it is possible to get into them even if you have received advice around that GMAT and GRE are compulsory. They are not. Yes, the top 5%, the top 10% universities, while not list that they require a GMAT or a GRE, they still want you to have a GMAT or a GRE to be competitive. It's not a requirement, it's for you to be competitive for most degrees. Of course, there are some that listed as a requirement as well. Having said that, coming back to how you can make use of a finance degree in an MBA through an MBA or through a master's in finance. If you're a student who has just passed out with a bachelor's in economics, even if you're passed out with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering or any kind of engineering, the best part is a master's in finance program does not expect you to be from a finance background. Yes, it expects you to have basic understanding of most finance modules. However, those can be caught up while you're studying your undergraduate degree, while you're doing accounting in your bachelor's in economics, things like that. It will be easier for a commerce student to apply for a master's in finance program than a science or an arts student. However, the program does not require you to have a relevant bachelor's degree. A majority of those programs, not all of them. Some of them really do. So if you want to do the master's in finance, make sure that you don't have more than 3 years of experience. If you have more than 3 years of experience, apply for an MBA degree that would focus on finance. Not just Wharton, there are a lot of MBA degrees out there that actually focus on finance, and they have course objectives that lead into you becoming an investment banker or someone working in the VC circle. It will be very useful if you want to get into most VC firms. It will be very useful for you to see for universities around the Silicon Valley belt, because a lot of VCs are there, because a lot of startups are there. However, it is not necessary. You can also be in Washington studying finance and get a really good finance job. The last one, and this is where we will conclude our session. Actually, we'll conclude our session after I tell you a little bit about the work visas, is psychology. This makes the list above business, and I was a little bit, I wanted to put business ahead. However, psychology is something that people really don't know about, on how important and how valued it is in the US. It's it's a specialization that has come out of humanities. So if you're a student who is just studying a bunch of courses, and even in their 12th, a bachelor's in psychology really helps to get a job in the US. Some very obvious jobs there are of becoming a therapist, but you can also become a home therapy advisor. You also become a psychiatric advisor to a corporate, to a big four company, or to a small startup in Silicon Valley as well. These people required them to have corporate therapists who are available 24/7, or at least in working hours, in their office hours, and helping most employees out with personal grief, with professional grief, with professional issues, etc. It's very common to have a psychiatric counselor on site in most investment banks, in most VCs, because it's a high strenuous job in a lot of the cases. So you can pursue that. My suggestion, if you want to do psychology, is if you are a 12th standard student, this is that one degree where undergraduate students are valued a lot in the US. However, it's a 4-year degree if you're doing a bachelor's, and it's twice as costly while doing a master's. So if you're a 12th standard student who's watching this today, you can definitely go for undergraduate degree here. It's one of those degrees that I recommend doing an undergraduate degree in the US for, even if it's a little costly, because the demand for a psychologist or a psychotherapist there is very high, and you would not regret doing it, and a return on investment will be very quick, about 5 to 7 years max. Some good psychology schools are universities like Johns Hopkins, where they obviously have a really good medicine program above all, and they have a really good psychology program on the side as well. What you would want to look in a psychology program is to find niche schools where faculties are focused on research, because a lot of psychology today is based on research. Yes, there are hard facts that would really interest you, and you would learn a lot of theory. Unfortunately, practical knowledge while doing a psychology program is non-existent as we speak. Hopefully that changes in the future, but you need to have a license to practice psychology. So your entire study would be around research, theory, and learning facts around psychology. Having said that, let's talk about US just as a destination for immigrants and for international students. I was talking about OPT, right? So this particular facility helps you stay back in the US once you pass out from your degree. For a STEM program, you get a 3-year OPT, a 2 + 1 year OPT, and for a normal non-STEM program, you get a 1-year OPT. Now, the reason why there is so much that there's that kind of facility given to a STEM program is because that's the area where there's huge dearth in talent in the US. Science, technology, engineering, and manufacturing is somewhere the entire country needs help with, and that's why you would see a huge amount of immigrants flocking to the US to pursue these degrees and doing really well in these roles. That doesn't mean that they don't need help in areas like medicine, data science, finance, etc. There is huge demand for finance and business in the US. Some of the best business schools in the world are in the US, including Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Yale, etc. However, the acceptance rates when compared to STEM programs are lesser, because very obviously for the demand that it carries. So if you're someone who wants to go and study in the US, make sure that if you're choosing any one of these subject areas, make sure that you do your prior research around curriculum, make sure you do your prior research around jobs after the course, make sure you understand what your stay back period is and how the H-1B visa works. There's a lot of information around. There's a lottery system and things like that. Don't be discouraged by those facts. US is still one of the biggest immigration destinations of the world today, followed by Canada, very obviously. But it is still called the land of dreams. It's called the American dream when an immigrant gets there. So if you're someone who wants to really pursue the American dream, feel free to reach out to us, to Leverage Edu, as I end this session. If you need any further help, you can reach out to me directly at my email ID. I'm at samrat@leverageedu.com. It's spelled just like the website, and I'll be happy to help you out on one-on-one questions as well. Thank you so much for attending the Leverage Edu, the Leverage TV session today. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Leverage Edu.